Yes, hello everyone, Paul Chirashkity, Cúilín Media. Welcome back to another live show here on the channel. It's that time of year, inter-county season is finished and we now turn our attention to the club championships, this time for 2026/27. And whether you think it's brave or stupid, myself, Séamus Brady, Liam White, Matthew Hurley and Aaron Prendergast are all going to try and predict the county champions, provincial champions and then All-Ireland champions for the men's football and men's hurling club championships of 2026/27. We will be taking on the LGFA and Camogie club championships next weekend as well. So if you want to keep an eye out for that, keep an eye out across our channel and across our social media as well. Before we get into it as well, we want to give a massive shout out to ATAK Sports as well, our championship coverage partners of 2026. If you need any sports gear around, check them out across their website and their social media as well. Liam, what do we think? Is it brave or is it stupid to try and predict the champions of every county for football and hurling at this stage of the year?
Oh, we're complete idiots. Let's be honest. We are. Whatever about predicting the Premier League table or the Championship table even or something like that, or URC and rugby, trying to predict every county champion. Some probably maybe easier to predict than others, but yeah, not simple in the slightest. But you know what? We're sticking our necks out there. We're giving it a lash. And look, whether we have these right or wrong in a couple of months' time, I think if as long as it was our own clubs winning, I don't think we care too much after that. But yeah, looking forward to getting into it. Look forward to seeing how many of these, more so looking forward to seeing how many of these we get wrong more than we get right, to be honest, because that's always better crack. But yeah, can't wait.
Absolutely. So Ryan here mentioned it as well. We send out our best wishes to anyone affected by this tragic news as well, obviously, yesterday and everything like that. Yeah, we just send out our best wishes to anybody affected by this terrible news. Yeah, we're going to move then into the club championships and we're going to start off with the men's football grades. I'm going to start off, Aaron, with your predictions. You bravely put it out on social media. How have you found the general feedback and everything like that so far?
Yeah, it's definitely been interesting. All right, I have gone for a few mad shouts, and certainly across the board in football and hurling, my shouts are probably a little bit more mental than others. I do think Gaelic football, in particular, is in a mad era now, though, where I think after, like, my perception of reality is something completely different to anything it was since Mayo won the All Ireland. To be honest with you, I'm now under the perception that any team can win anything. And I think with club championships in particular always delve shocks and always delve surprises. So I think there are always shocks in there. There are always teams that win a championship from completely out of nowhere that you're not expecting. So I have thrown some interesting ones out there. Now, there are reasonings for picking those teams. I haven't just picked them out of the hat and be like, right, well, I'm going to go with this team to win it. Now, there are genuine reasons for my picks, as the same with the lads as well. And yeah, the feedback's definitely been interesting. But sure, look, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. So, well, Matthew, I haven't come to you yet, so I'm going to put your picks for the football championship under the microscope first, and we're going to take a look. So here are Matthew's picks for the county championships of 2026. Now, Matthew, if there's any issues as well, if there's any errors in terms of this graphic, please do flag it there. But of course, we can see there Clare, Errol, Innis, Cork, Castlehaven, Kerry, Austin Stacks, Limerick, Newcastle West, Tipperary, Clonmel Commercials, Waterford, Rathgormack. Moving across to Connacht then, Moycullen and Galway, Mohill and Leitrim. In London, you've got North London Shamrocks, Mayo with Crossmolina, Roscommon with St. Bridget's, Sligo with Coolera, Strandhill. Then in Leinster, Éire Óg for Carlow, Coola for Dublin, Naas for Kildare, Portarlington for Laois, Dromard for Longford, Naomh-Máirtín for Louth, Dunshaughlin for Meath, Tullamore for Offaly, the Downs for Westmeath, Castletown for Wexford, and Blessington for Wicklow. And then in Ulster, Dunloy for Antrim, St. Pat's, Cullyhanna for Armagh, Kingscourt Stars for Cavan, Waddy Grange Glen for Derry, Naomh Cunnell for Donegal, Kilcoo for Down, Erngales Balik, apologies, for Fermanagh, Scottstown for Monaghan, and Errigal Kieran for Tyrone. I suppose, Matthew, out of all of those picks, which one do you think is the most surprising, the one that might raise the most eyebrows?
I suppose I'd probably say maybe in Armagh, St. Pat's, Cullyhanna, even though they reached the semi-final last year, the Armagh Football Championship. But look, I don't think McLean have performed particularly well in the Armagh Championship over the last few seasons. The favourites, according to many people in Armagh, are the likes of Clonairon, for example, or Madden, would be the main favourites. But I'm going to go for St. Pat's Cullyhanna. They have a couple of brilliant players, particularly Ross McQuillan in their team. He's an absolutely brilliant player, I have to say. Even the likes of, I know he hasn't played intercounty football as well, Aidan Nugent, I think he's a very talented player as well for their team. Jason Duffy's a very good player. So they do have some excellent intercounty stars, and they won the All-Ireland Intermediate Championship a couple of seasons ago as well. So they do have a bit of momentum going their way. They reached the senior semi-final last year, so they'd want to go maybe even 1-2 better next time out. But I think that's probably the shot pick. Look at the other picks, I think I've gone pretty safe, because in the past few seasons I've gone for wacky predictions, particularly in Tyrone. I'd use Tyrone as an example for this, because I said Eden Dark would win the Tyrone Championship, I think 2 years ago, and then an Errigal Kieran fan got back to me and said, Errigal Kieran, they won the Tyrone Championship, do your research. So I'm like, I'm going safe. I'm going Errigal Kieran to win the Tyrone Championship because of that particular person that commented. But yeah, I think it's pretty safe in terms of all their predictions. Maybe Cork might be a bit surprising to you all that I didn't pick St. Finn Bars, but there's a particular reason for that. The Bars don't win back-to-back. They haven't done back-to-back since 1980. So I think Castlehaven, this is the time for them to take it as well. They were pretty bang average last year, but Shawnee Callan, their manager, actually admitted the reason for that maybe was tiredness, a couple of Munster campaigns. No, I think they're fully refreshed. The likes of Jack Callan didn't play intercounty football, so I think they'd be raring to go this season. And St. Finn Bars lost their opening game as well, so I think Castlehaven are on the verge, particularly of a Cork Championship. But look at them. I don't know what you think, lads, but I think they're pretty safe.
Lads, any questions for Matthew in terms of predictions? Any that surprise you?
Just going through them as we speak.
I think there's a lot of favourites, really, isn't it? Like, there's not actually, like, I know my predictions are probably quite different, but you could definitely understand one of them I would say maybe actually Watty Graham's Glen in Derry. Like, last 2 seasons, they haven't been great. I feel like they have regressed a bit since Malachy O'Rourke. Now, I know they have some serious players like Kieran McFall, Conor Glass, and a few others. But yeah, what was your thinking them behind that?
Simply, I picked Slotney last year, and they didn't really do well either. Neither did Watty Graham's Glen. I can't see Newbridge winning 3 in a row. So I think it's going to be either Newbridge, Glen, or Slotney. I think Slotney, looking at past experiences, I think they might have a bit of concentration on the hurling. And then Newbridge, I can't see Newbridge going 3 in a row. Shock wins in Derry for the 3rd time in a row. I can't really see it. So I think it is going to be Watty Graham's Glen. And as well as that, their main players, the likes of Conor Glass, had the end of the intercounty season off as well. So I think that's probably a particular reason why I picked Watty Graham's Glen to win it. But yeah, it's mainly down to maybe they're probably the expected team in Derry to go on themselves or Slotney, because I don't think Newbridge are going to win it. So I picked Glen because Slotney, I think, have too much to do with the hurling.
Okay, very good stuff. I'll put myself under the grill next, and after we each go under the grill, then we'll move on to who we think is going to win the provincials and then the All Ireland as well. So first of all, in Munster, in Clare, I've gone for Éire Óg. Cork, I've gone for the Bars. Kerry, I've gone for Dr. Crokes. Limerick, I've gone for Newcastle West. Tipperary, Clonmel Commercials, and Waterford, Rathcormac. Moving across to Connacht, I've gone for Moycullen to win in Galway, Mohill to win in Leitrim, North London Shamrocks to win in London, Crossmolina in Mayo, St. Bridget's in Roscommon, and Coolera in Sligo. In Leinster, I've gone for Éire Óg, Ballyboden to win in Dublin, Naas to win in Kildare, Portarlington in Laois, Killaloe in Longford, Nave Martin in Louth, Dunshaughlin in Meath, Tullamore in Offaly, the Downs in Westmeath, Castletown in Wexford, and Baltinglass in Wicklow. And then in Ulster, I've gone Crossmaglen and Armagh. In Cavan, I've gone for Kingscourt. The graphic should say that I've gone for Dunloy and Antrim. That should be there. Apologies, folks. In Donegal, I've gone for St. Eunan's. Down, I've gone for Kilcoo. Fermanagh, I've gone for Aaron Gales. Monaghan, I've gone for Inniskeen. And Tyrone, I've also gone for Errigal Kieran as well. Lads, under the grill, what are you thinking?
The one straight off the bat, Inniskeen Grattans.
they've lost 2 finals in the last 3 years. I think the Ulster run would have taken a lot out of Scottstown. I think when you look at the age profile of the Scottstown players, I think that they might not have it in the tank to go again this year. I think there's room for a shock there in Monaghan this year. So I'm a betting man. I think maybe we might see a change in the guard.
I'm glad to see that we're going down the same route again this year, Séamus, with backing Eric O'Kieran. Hopefully it doesn't come back in our face again.
Last year, we picked them to win the All-Ireland? Jesus.
I can't remember if I predicted them to win All-Ireland, but I definitely predicted Ulster, and I felt fucking stupid after that. So
yeah, no, I picked them for the All-Ireland. I think you did too, man. I watched that back through my fingers a while back.
I genuinely don't remember, but I just remember predicting them to do well, and the two of us just looked stupid after the semi-finals.
Aaron, do you have any input?
I suppose Ballybowden St. Enda's, like I do get it, to be fair. I think it's going to be either Ballybowden, Coola, probably Ballymun. I think Ballymun have looked really good this season, so I don't think it's an outlandish pick. But they've never done back-to-back, which is interesting. They've never done back-to-back. Now, to be fair though, they were brilliant last season. Obviously, Colin Baskell featured in the back end of Dublin. A lot of their big players haven't played as well, like Shroud Championship, like Dara Sweeney or anything like that. Obviously didn't play for Dublin, but you're
Keane
back
Darcy as well has been Darcy's been off as well since the quarterfinal. Look, always he hasn't played that inter-county championship football. He's coming in relatively fresh. The way I'm looking at this, Ballybowden have been, I would have separated as Bowden, Coola and Crokes were far ahead in my opinion last year. I know Nafina made it to the final and beat Kilmacud, but at the beginning of last year I would have probably put the three of them ahead. Nafina then inserted themselves in with a brilliant semi-final win over Kilmacud. But Nafina started flat against Thomas Davis. Kilmacud started flat against Clontarf. Coola had a draw against Ballymun, apologies. But I still believe Bowden are the ones that have come flying out the traps. And I really do believe that, we're talking about not doing back-to-back. We've seen it this year. Kerry still didn't do back-to-back. The curse of Kerry not doing back-to-back under Jack O'Connor was stronger than the curse of Mayo not winning in 75 years. But I still believe Bowden look really, really strong this year. Most of the big players aren't laggy in terms of inter-county action and everything like that. I think Bowden are going to win in Dublin. Yes. Personally, like I'm a little bit in terms of commentating on most of the club games this year, but I like the look of Bowden. If I had to pick, I think there could be some shocks. Coola definitely could get back on top after last year where they were caught in the semi-final, because I think it has to be taken into consideration as well. Coola were absolutely in the driving seat in last year's semi-final against Bowden. Absolutely in the driving seat. Just going down the last 10 minutes, Bowden just pulled out one of the best closes to a game I've seen in a long time to turn over Coola. So there's a lot of signs that Coola could go and do it again.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Cross Malloyna getting a good mention there as well for Mayo. I know Matthew backed them there as well.
Yeah. Look, I think they have momentum as well. Like St. Pat's Cullyhanna, they won the Intermediate Championship a couple of years ago as well in the All-Irelands. They have Jordan Flynn, they have Conor Loftus, they have some absolutely excellent players, a very young team. And from experience in Cork, Mark Keane, who is in the AFL, actually comes back for club around October, November. So if that's the case, could Kobe come back for October? If he does, that rubber stamps it.
Aidan O'Shea said that in the Clubber interview, Talked about Kobe coming back.
Yeah.
Mentioned him, So that's kind of why, spoiler alert, that's kind of why I'm sticking with them as well. I'm like, if Kobe comes back, then, it could be big. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he does come back. Look, if he doesn't, then I still think they'd maybe still have enough in the likes of Conor Loftus, Jordan Flynn, etc. But if he does come back, then it's very hard to see anyone stopping him. But then again, like you said, the club championship is that bonkers that, they could be knocked out fairly quickly. But so
absolutely. So it's time to put Liam's picks now under the microscope. Liam, you've gone for Éire Óg to winning Clare, St. Finbarrs to winning Cork, Austin Stacks to winning Kerry, Mungret St. Paul's to win in Limerick, Clonmel Commercials to win in Tipperary, and Rathgormack to win in Waterford. Then in Connacht, Salt Hill, Knocknacarra to win in Galway, Mohill and Leitrim, North London Shamrocks in London, Crossmalina in Mayo, Porrig Pierces in Roscommon, and Coolera in Sligo. Then in Leinster, Era Ogue to win in Carlow, Coola to win in Dublin, Naas to win in Kildare, Courtwood to win in Laois, Kilo in Longford, Nave Martin in Louth, Ratoath in Meath, Ferban in Offaly, the Downs in Westmeath, Castletown in Wexford, and Baltinglass in Wicklow. Then in Ulster, Dunloy in Antrim, St. Pat's Cullyhanna in Armagh, Kingscourt in Cavan, Slough-Neil in Derry, St. Eunan's in Donegal, Kilcoo in Down, Erringales in Fermanagh, Scottstown in Monaghan, and Errigal Kieran as well in Ulster. I suppose, Liam, the first one I'll ask you is just because it's your native county, what has you back in Ferban?
Just pure stubborn heartbreak that needs to end at some stage, to be honest with you. Like Tullamore, realistically, probably like us in hurling, are the strongest side in the county without a shadow of a doubt, and the strongest panel. But it does get to a stage where like a team that say they are beating so many times over years, surely at some stage it just has to come to an end. Like Ferban are a solid team. Look, they started off poorly against Rhodes. They lost by a point, and look, they came back and got a good victory against Eden Derry. And they are playing Tullamore tomorrow night, but I think they'll have enough to get to the knockout stages anyway, regardless of what happens tomorrow. But like, they have some top class players. Look, they are missing the likes of Cathal Flynn, who's a massive miss for them. And look, you know, he's going through some tough times with his shoulder at the moment, so hopefully he'll be okay in the future and everything like that. But they have players like Cian Johnson, who is a very, very good footballer as well as a very good TikToker, to be fair to him. But they have the likes of him, Kyle Higgins, who's in the Offaly panel as well. They have Dara Flynn, who's a very capable forward too. Joe Maher, very big, strong, physical forward as well. Jack and Paddy Clancy, you know, very good dual players as well. So I am going to back them to do it. They've had 3 years in a row where they've been pipped by Tullamore, whether it was in 2023 when it was probably one of the worst finals that's ever been played in Offaly football, but yet it's Tullamore won by 2 points. Ferban were in the driving seat in 2024, lost by a point through a last-minute free, and probably a dodgy referee decision to a degree as well that day. They could probably feel hard done by. And then last year, they get a goal near the end. It looked like they're going to go on and win it, and then Harry Plunkett just decides to kick a bunch of 2-pointers in the last few minutes to break their hearts again. I just think it gets to a stage where you got to get over the line. And you know what? Tullamore probably realistically will win 4 in a row, and I'm not disputing that. They have an extremely strong panel, and I mean, they've shown in their opening couple of games that they are probably still the strongest side in Offaly. But you know what? If there is probably one team that will beat Tullamore, it is Ferban. Maybe Shamrocks at a stretch, but for me, I'm going to back Ferban. And yeah, I would be delighted if they won it. Nothing against Tullamore. Love the Tullamore lads, to be fair. They're a sound bunch, and they have, you know, Stephen Rochford in there who's done a great job with them. But yeah, I'm going to back Ferban to do it. Why not?
Lads, any questions for Liam and his picks?
Just generally, and this might be a spoiler, or Darren went for the Bars as well. All 3 of you went for the Bars in Cork. I'm just kind of curious for the reasons why.
One of the big reasons for me is Stephen Gerlach, yeah. Stephen Gerlach, in the form that he's in.
Brian Hayes as well. Terrific dual player.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrific dual player.
Why, to spin it, Matthew, why not the Bars? Obviously, you know way more about the Cork Championship than we do. What do you see in Castlehaven?
See, Castlehaven have as good a quality as the Bars as well. Like, they do have Brian Hurley, they have Jack Callahan, they have Michael Hurley, Mark Collins. Okay, they might be getting on in age, but even in the league final, I don't know, to see the clip on Club or Mark Collins playing the ball into Brian Hurley against Nottingham Green. Like, it was just telepathic. And I would say Castlehaven, after a year where they performed very, very poorly, they got hammered out the gate by the Bars in the quarterfinal last year down in Clonakilty. And that would have hurt Castlehaven in the winter. The likes of Jack Callahan has a point to prove, especially being dropped in the hurlers, and obviously didn't play with the footballers because obviously John Cleary assembled his squad by then. He has a real point to prove in football now, Jack Callahan. You have Damien Callahan, you have Conor Callahan. You do have some good young players, and they're in the under-21 local final as well. So there are some very good young players coming through in Castlehaven as well. And the reason I'm not going for the Bars is the back-to-back thing. They haven't done the back-to-back since 1980. And a prime example for this, 2022, when I fell into this trap, believe me, lads, I fell into this trap in 2022, back in the Bars all throughout, backed them for Munster, potentially on a long run, the All-Irelands. What happens? Nemo played them out of the game in that game in 2022. And let's be honest, I'm being absolutely honest here, that's an average Nemo team. That was a bang average Nemo Rangers team. They lost to Clonmel Commercials in the Munster Championship afterwards. So I just think it's a psychological thing. I don't think the Bars have it in them to go on a back-to-back run. And that's the reason I'm going to pick the Haven. I actually would have said not agree before the championship even began. But after they lost to Clonakilty, they still have Castlehaven to play in the group. So it's not a guarantee they'll get out of the group. So I'm going to go for Castlehaven to win it. But yeah, it's going to be close between the Haven and the Bars, like it always is.
Absolutely so. Well, Aaron, it's time to go to your predictions now. You said there was the most curveballs in this one. Well, let's take a look at it. So in Munster, you're going for Éire Óg in Clare, St. Finbarrs in Cork, Austin Stacks in Kerry, Fáilte Casey's in Limerick, Mull Rovers in Tipperary, not Clonmel Commercials. That might be my own. Rathgormack then in Waterford. Then in Connacht, you gone Belmullet in Mayo, Salthill, Knocklocarry in Galway, North London Shamrocks in London, Coolaire, Strandhill in Sligo, Fianna St. Callans in Leitrim, St. Bridget's in Roscommon. In Leinster, Éire Óg in Carlow, Coola in Dublin, Naas in Kildare, Courtwood in Laois, Dromard in Longford, Nave Martin in Louth, Ratoath in Meath, Ferban in Offaly, the Downs in Westmeath, Gussaran O'Rahilly's in Wexford, Carnew Emmets in Wicklow, and that brings us on to Ulster. Carrigan in Antrim, Crossmaglen in Armagh, Gowna in Cavan, St. Eunan's in Donegal, Burren in Down, Lavey in Derry, Irvinstown in Fermanagh, Scottstown in Monaghan, and Edendork in Tyrone. I suppose the first one that I'm going to come to is, you think Kilcoo's dynasty in Down is going to end?
I think so, yeah. And to be honest with you, like at first, because I think I predicted this last year. I think I might have even predicted it the year before. Maybe last year I went with Kilcoo. But in previous years, I've been back in Burren for a while. And the main reason being is like they have a huge amount of like that underage Down team from a couple of years ago, like with Oren Murdoch and a few of the other players in there as well. All of them are part of the Burren setup. And they haven't been a million miles off the last couple of seasons. Now, I know they didn't get to the final last year. And to be fair, a lot of Down fans on TikTok and everything else have said that a lot of them would actually nearly agree that Kilcoo would get knocked off their throne, but actually that it might be another club in Down, like Clonduff or Carryduff potentially. But I like the look of Burren. And I think with Down progression, with some of the younger lads as well there, I think this is the year they'll do it. And I think with Kilcoo, look, they've been so dominant for so long, but when you look at a lot of those finals, like there was replays, late points, late drama, I think at some point that's bound to come to an end. And it's been a mental year in Gaelic football, so I think why not?
The one thing I've clocked with them is like, especially in Down, if you're going to catch them, you want to catch them early. Like what I've clocked is that as the season goes on, they tend to get harder and harder and harder to beat. And they tend to get to an Ulster final, but we'll come to who we think is going to win the provinces next. Lads, do either of you have any questions for Aaron in terms of his picks?
I suppose just one that he's agreeing with me on is Port Arlington to be knocked off by Courtwood and Laois.
Yeah, like to be fair, like look, I wouldn't be a complete expert in Laois senior football championship standards, but from getting to the final last year, from knocking on the door, obviously that game going to a replay. Like I've looked at Port and I've looked at Laois clubs in general when they've come through to Leinster, and I don't think they've looked great, to be honest with you. I think there is a chance there for another club to make the step up. And look, a lot of people are saying, oh, like Courtwood won't get anywhere near it again, but look, they got them to a replay. Do you know what I mean? They were very good in the build up to that final as well. So, I'd be confident that they can do it.
No one said Port Laois as well, which a few years ago would have been kind of bonkers to say that not one of us would go for Port Laois. Like, what's been the fall off like?
Well, they're moving along nicely enough at the moment. I mean, they were fairly comfortable winners over Arley's Cúilín in their last game. They bet them by 26 points to a goal in 12. And they're in the quarterfinals now alongside Port Arlington, Courtwood and St. Joseph's. Like, realistically for me, they are the four strongest teams in the Laois Championship. St. Joseph's won it 3 years ago. Courtwood were in the final last year, and deservedly so. And like Aaron said, could easily have won either game, to be honest with you. Started really strong in the replay in particular, and then it just kind of fell off for them, to be honest. But look, I wouldn't even put it down to anything that Port Laois have done wrong. It's just simply that other teams have stepped up. Port Arlington have had a really strong team over the last number of years that have come through, and the competition for me has just simply gotten better. I wouldn't even put it down to anything wrong with Port Laois. I'd also, to be fair, look, Portage Hurling isn't in a bad place either at the moment as well, so maybe there could be attention driving away there. But yeah, no, I just think the competition has gotten better in Laois, to be honest.
Okay, very good. Well, lads, are you ready to take the step up? Ready to talk about provincial winners? So we're going to run this in a similar way that we run it to last year. I'm going to come to you and ask you to pick your Leinster winners, Connacht winners, Ulster winners, Munster winners. The crests are going to pop in on the screen when we do that, and then give me your All-Ireland winners at the end. So, Liam, if it's okay with you, I'll go to you first. Do you have your picks ready to go?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So, lads, All-Ireland Club Football Predictions for 2026/27. Give me your provincial winners and your All-Ireland winner for 2026/27. I'm going to do that again because the Wi-Fi went. All right, ready to go? Club Championship Predictions 2026/27. Liam, give me your predictions, provincial winners, and your All-Ireland pick for 26/27.
So for the Munster Championship, I'm going to back St. Finbarr's to win the Munster Championship. In Connacht, I am actually going to back Salthill Knocknacarra to win from Galway. Ulster, very, very, very tricky to predict. But you know what? I'm going to make the same mistake as last year. Errigal Kieran, I'm going to get it right this time. And in the Leinster Championship, again, very, very hard to call. And this one is probably a very big call. I'm going to back Luke Loughlin to lead the Downs to the Leinster title. And I think the All-Ireland winners this year are going to be Salthill Knocknacarra from Galway.
Matthew, I'll go to you next. Club Championship Predictions 2026/27. Give me your provincial winners and your All-Ireland winners as well.
So the Munster Championship, I'm going to go for Austin Stacks. For the Connacht Championship, I'm going to go Crossmaloina, Deal Rovers, St. Bridget's will be very close up. I'm going to go for Crossmaloina. In the Leinster Championship, Coola will walk it, or whoever wins Dublin, that is. In the Ulster Championship, I'm going to say Errigal Kieran. And for the All-Irelands, I'm going to say Errigal Kieran win it this year.
Okay. Aaron, coming to you next. All-Ireland Club Championship Predictions 2026/27. Give me your provincial winners and your All-Ireland football pick for 26/27.
Yeah, so for Ulster, I've gone for Scotsdown. For Connacht, for Connacht, I've gone for St. Bridget's. For Munster, I've gone for St. Finbarr's. And then for Leinster, I've gone for Coola. And then for my All-Ireland winners, I'm going for Scotsdown. I think they'll have enough to do it.
Okay, it's my turn, is it, lads? Okay, so for Munster, I'm going with St. Finbarr's. For Connacht, I'm going with Mike Cullen. For Ulster, I'm going with Kilcoo. And for Leinster, I'm going with the Downs. I agree with Liam. I'm going with the Downs. I think Dublin's reign over the Leinster Club Championship is going to come to an end. Then moving into the All-Ireland, the club that I think is going to win the All-Ireland, I'm going for Mike Cullen then to win the All-Ireland. They had a few good years with a banging on the door to get that breakthrough. I think they'll get over the line. So yeah, questions, lads. Is there a special provincial pick? I suppose Aaron and Matthew, you can grill me and Liam on why we think that the Downs are going to win the Leinster Championship.
Go on, lads.
I think so, yeah. You think they'll beat Ballybowden?
Liam up. I'm sitting this out.
You chicken. No, do you know what it is? Look, and I will be the first to hold my hands up and say the Downs have drawn their opening 2 games, which doesn't look great. However, they drew the first game without Luke Loughlin. He came back for the last game against Coorstown Kinnegad, who was a team that they beat last year in the final, so they're absolutely no mugs. And they would have a chance of winning the Westmeath Championship this year as well. I wouldn't be shocked if they did win it, to be fair. But I just think with Luke Loughlin back, and I actually think someone like him who missed out on Westmeath's campaign to win the Leinster title and their All-Ireland Championship, I think he'll be more hungry than ever. And I also think they sort of went out to a degree on a bit of a limb last year to Tullamore. The truth is, yes, Tullamore were absolutely dominating them for so long. They had them absolutely buried in that game up until the 50th minute. And then just out of nowhere, the Downs just decided we'll start playing now. And they ended up getting 3 goals, I believe it was, in the final 10 minutes. Like, they absolutely destroyed them. If the game went on for, I'd say, another 2-3 minutes, they probably would have caught them, to be honest with you. So Yeah, I'm going to back them to do it this year. Now, look, it's very hard to call, and I was even close to saying Naas as well, because much like some other teams, eventually, like Naas, while they didn't win Kildare last year, you know, and I know ATAK deservedly won that championship in the end, and they got to a Leinster final. I think Naas at this stage must be thinking to themselves, we need to win a Leinster title, and they must be sick to their teeth of seeing Dublin teams winning it as well. But I've just said, no, do you know what? I think there'd be a bit of heart, and even I suppose as well, when you do look at the draw as well, I actually think Westmeath teams avoid a Dublin team until the final. Now, that is, I know when Dublin teams get to the final, generally they just do walk the final. Let's be honest about it. But the Downs have been there before. They've played in Croke Park before. They have that experience, and they do have some winners in their team now. So, yeah, do you know what? Why not? And, you know, it's a rogue prediction, but yeah, I'm going to back the Downs to do it.
And they're coming off a year as well where Westmeath beat Dublin in a provincial final in Croke Park. If they ever wanted to see evidence that it could be done, this is the year where it could be done. Brendan here with a good comment here saying, lads, it's mad to see overlook Dingle given what they did last year. I suppose I'll take the lead in terms of answering that. The reason why I haven't gone for Dingle, and lads, feel free to jump in, is I think the way that Dingle won the All-Ireland Club Championship as well last year, they won a lot of games at the death. They won a lot of games where the metal was tested to the absolute limit, whether it was that Munster final where they got the late free, which was controversial, whether it was the All-Ireland semi-final against Ballyboden where they were miles behind and they came back into it and they won it. Even the All-Ireland final against Bridget's, they pulled that one out with a fire as well. And I think when you have that many questions asked of you and you answer them eventually and you get the All-Ireland, I think it's difficult to then go to the well again for another All-Ireland. I don't think the motivation will be there in the same way that it was last year. So personally, could be wrong, but clubs don't tend to do back-to-back. It's not that common unless you get like a Currafin, unless you get a dynasty. It is very, very rare. So personally, I think I think Dr. Crouch is going to win Kerry. The lads have said the stacks and different things like that, but I'm going with Crouch. Dingle are a shout, there's no question about it, but I personally think it won't be that way. Ryan says he thinks the Trillick are going to win the Ulster Championship. I think it's Ulster is one of the hardest ones to call out a lot. But yeah, let's get into it as well, because we've all given our All-Ireland picks very quietly. Lads, All-Ireland Club Football Champions. We all said it. Why have you gone for who you've gone for? Liam, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, look, Salt Hill, I will say last year, I feel kind of let themselves down a small bit, to be honest with you. Like being genuinely honest about it. Like I think a lot of us, didn't we all, I can't remember off the top of my head now, did we all back Salt Hill, Knocknacarra to win the Galway Championship last year?
I backed them to win the All-Ireland, yeah.
I backed them to win Connacht.
Yeah, and it was for good reason. Like when you look at the players that they have in their team, when you look at the forwards that they have now, look, that doesn't always translate. You know, I've seen it myself in our own championship or other championships as well. You can have loads of inter-county stars, but it's about who you also have in around you as well. Do you know what I mean? You need class players in around you as well as having your 5 or 6 all-stars essentially. But I just think they left one behind them last year. I think the likes of John Maher, the likes of Robbie Finnerty will be just desperate to get over the line in Galway this year. And then after that, look, if we're going to be honest about it, the main aim every year, being straight honest about it, unless you're maybe someone like a Ballygunner who, you know, it's just become too easy for them at this point to win Waterford. Most other club teams, their aim is to win their county first. After that, provincial and All-Ireland, it's all a free shot. And I think that could actually suit Salt Hill, to be honest with you. I think it could just allow them to be a small bit more free, have a go at the Connacht Championship, see what happens, test the waters of the likes of, you know, Coolera, Strandhill, if they are to win a Sligo Championship, or a Moycullen, or sorry, not a Moycullen, that wouldn't make any sense, of a Cross Malina, or a St. Bridget's, or a Port Pierce's, or just any teams like this. Just let them have a go at these teams and see, really, really test their mettle. So, and then you get to the All-Ireland stages. And again, it's a one-off game. It is a one-off game. And, you know, the drive from supporters. And like you said, after watching the way that the likes of Dingle came back last year, the way Scottstown fought their way to the final and everything like that, why not just have that little bit of belief that you can go on and do it? So, yeah, I think the hurdle for Salt Hill, win the Galway Championship, and then after that, I think the world is their oyster.
Absolutely. So, Matthew, may I ask why you went the way you did?
Yeah, I went with Eric Kilkieran simply because there will be a hunger there to avenge what they did a few years ago against Coola. I think they didn't turn up in the first half, and I think they would have been angry over that. They would have been angry at the fact that they got knocked out of the Tyrone semi-final as well. They have some fantastic players. They have players with a point to prove. The likes of Darragh Canavan. The commentary around Darragh Canavan in Tyrone circles this year, I think, has been very unfair. Like, a lot of people have been saying, look, he has quality, but people have questioned his temperament. I think he wants to shut up a lot of doubters in this club championship. I think he is a fantastic footballer, and he definitely wants to prove that. Rory Canavan probably didn't have his best inter-county season either. He's another guy with a point to prove. Peter Hart didn't play in the inter-county season either. He's raring to go in this championship. You have the likes of Peter McCartan, who's a very good player. Joe Goose, who I'm a massive fan of in midfield, is a fantastic player as well. I think they have the capabilities to win Tyrone. And you look at Ulster, you have the likes of Scottstown. I don't think they'll have it in them to go to the well again. Kilcoo, there's still question marks. Can they get over the line in Ulster? Watty Graham's Glen, if they get over the line. Derry, can they do it? And then you look at the other provincial winners. I think Austin Sachs will win Munster, but I don't think they're quite ready to win an All-Ireland. Same for Crossmolina in Mayo. So that leaves Coola. And I think Eric Kilkieran will have a bigger hunger than Coola, because Coola have won an All-Ireland 2 years ago. Eric Kilkieran haven't. And I think the hunger will be a massive sauce for them. And I think they'll go all the way.
I think as well, another big thing to think about when you're talking about the hunger is Darragh Canavan went off injured in that final in the first half. That's their best player gone off injured. And I think this would be sticking out to them now as a big what if in that game. What if Darragh Canavan stayed fit? What if he stayed on the pitch? Aaron, I'll come to you next. Why have you gone the way that you've gone?
Yeah, I've backed Scottstown to go all the way. Look, I think they have been building towards this over the last couple of years. Like, obviously winning Ulster last year was the big breakthrough. Like, they've kind of been slowly getting closer and closer as the years have gone on. Like, the big thing was, could they challenge in Ulster? Could they get over the line in Ulster? They finally did that. Obviously fell short in the semi-finals last season. But I think when you look at that crop of players, it does feel like it's kind of like the now or never probably. Like, I feel like this is probably their last serious chance at winning an All-Ireland. Like, when you look at Rory Beggan, Conor McCarthy, Jack McCarran, the Hugheses, Max Maguire as well, like, they are absolutely stacked across the field. There's younger lads coming through as well. Now, I know Rory Beggan has still been injured at the start of Monaghan Club Championship, so that is a little bit concerning there. But at the same time, I think they will come through that. I think the main thing is coming through Monaghan. You do look around Ulster at the moment, and there is a lot of teams that are very hit and miss, like around Ulster. Like, I know the lads are back in Eric Kilkieran there. Like, I've heard they have a couple of injuries in the Tyrone Football Championship from what I've heard. I don't think they'll be there as well as that. It's so cutthroat in Tyrone as well. Like, you have so many teams that just win that just completely out of nowhere. And I just have a funny feeling we're going to see something similar happen there. But yeah, really like the look of this Scottstown team. I think they've been building towards it. We've saw in the past where a couple of teams have come quite close to winning All Irelands, and then the next season they've gone and eventually got the job done. And in Croke Park as well, yeah, I think they'll do it.
Absolutely. So I'll take the lead in terms of then giving my reasons for my call. And I think when you look over the last few years in the club championship, whoever tends to get out of Galway, should they get out of Connacht, they tend to be huge threats for the All-Ireland. And whether that's Curra Finn, whether that is Mike Cullen themselves a couple of years ago as well. They've unbelievable players, the likes of Sean Kelly, the likes of Deddy Keneally up front is always an absolute weapon in the club championship as well. Been knocking on the door for the last years. And what we clocked as well, we saw it with Dingle, we saw it with Coola, is when the first door goes down, you tend to get this weird momentum where all of a sudden it can roll all the way to an All-Ireland Club Championship. And the thing is that, as I said, with Keneally, with Owen Gallagher, they have fantastic forwards. And when you get into the later stages of the championship, whoever's left, I think Salt Hill, Knocknacarra, a great show for that as well, because of the forward line that they have with Finnerty, Culhan, etc. But whoever has the most fluid forward line tends to blossom then into the club championship. So that's where I think Errol Kieran could be a huge threat as well. But I like the forward line that Mike Cullen have. I'm going to back them to go all the way and win the All-Ireland this year. And that is my reasoning behind that. But yeah, that's our All-Ireland Club Football Championship predicted for 2026/27. Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to have a look at this back and see how wrong we are, right we are, everything like that. But yeah, let's go with the hurling next. I'm going to go counterclockwise this time. Aaron, I'm going to come to you first. And this is your hurling picks. So in Ulster, you've gone for Lochiel Shamrocks to win Antrim, Burt to win in Donegal, Portaferry to win in Down, and Slough-Neil to win in Derry. In Leinster, St Mullins to win in Carlow, Kilmacud Crokes in Dublin, Ballyhale Shamrocks in Kilkenny, Boris in Ossory, Kilcotton to win in Laois, Loughlin Gales in Westmeath, Rathnewer in Wexford, and Ballinamer in Offaly. Then in Munster, Middleton to win in Cork, Clooney Quinn in Clare, Ballygunner in Waterford, Kilmallock in Limerick, and Cashel King Cormac's in Tipperary. Lads, any questions at all for Aaron on his picks? Liam's on mute.
Fucking Baldomere.
Big moments.
Big moment and I was on mute. God damn it.
That's the defender off. That's a Conor Gormley block right there.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Yeah. Aaron, you've hurt my soul saying that.
Yeah, no. Look, to be fair, like as I was saying kind of earlier in our group chat, I'd like to see Kilcormac Killoughey win it. Like obviously, I've no dog in the race in terms of Offaly, but like even from hearing from yourself, from kind of reading around the different reports, obviously missing some big players, some big injuries, some players missing. They've obviously been dominant for quite a while. Like there have been a few other teams kind of knocking on the door. I think Kilcormac lost, I think, to Kildare, I think, as well, earlier on in the group stages, I think it was. And I think Ballymere have come close the last couple of years, like Brian Duiglin's obviously there. So yeah, look, it's a bit of a surprise, really, and it is a bit of a shock. But yeah, that's what I've gone for.
Matthew, have you any questions for Aaron at
You
all?
can clip that up and show it to the lads.
What, to the Balmere ones or the KK ones?
I don't know, I'll just share it around everywhere. Let's see what happens.
Honestly, God. I know.
Matthew, any questions Munster-wise?
Probably Kilmallock and Limerick. Bit of a shock there.
Bit of a shock, yeah. Like obviously, Napirshy will be the heavy favourites there, but I think Shane O'Brien's been in great form so far. I think obviously we have a little bit of hindsight kind of going in our favour with the fact that a lot of the hurling championships are a bit more advanced, and Kilmallock have won both of their games so far. And I remember a couple of years ago, I think Kilmallock are one of those sides that can nab a title every now and again in the odd kind of couple of seasons, and I think they'll do it.
Okay, right. It's time then to move on. Matthew, I'll move to your picks next. In Leinster, you've gone Ballyhale Shamrocks to win in Kilkenny, Nafina to win in Dublin, Wexford, you've gone for St. Martin's, Kilcormac Killoughey in Offaly, in Liam's good books, Clock Ballycolla in Laois, Loughlin Gales in Westmeath, Mount Leinster Rangers in Carlow, and Naas in Kildare. Then in Munster, in Tipperary, you've gone for Cashel Kilcormac's. Cork, you've gone nothing, because obviously Hurling says. Clare, Ina Kilnamona, Limerick, you've gone for Doon, and Waterford, Ballygunner. In Galway, then you've gone for St. Thomas's, and in Ulster, Satanta for Donegal, Slough-Neil for Derry, Portaferry for Down, and Rorio Cushendall for Antrim. Any questions for Matthew, lads?
Ina.
It's fairly similar to what I've gone for, to be honest, I suppose.
Yeah.
I can pull out where I've differed. Matthew, I suppose, in terms of looking at your pick, obviously from a Dublin point of view, you agree with me, Nafina. Can't really ask too many questions about that.
What about like a Loughrea, who've obviously won it the last 2 years in Galway? I mean, going against the grain there a little bit.
Loughrea lost. I think they lost last weekend, so I think they're well under the gosh. St. Thomas's, I think again, like they have to do a lot better. Like last year was a bit of a failure from their point of view. I think they'll have to go on and win Galway this year. I would say same in football. There are some, reasonable enough picks there. I think the only ones that aren't that may shock you, I suppose, is Cashel King Cormac's at Tipperary in Tip, and Ina Kilnamona and Clare. Maybe. But
that's what I was trying to say.
I like Cashel as well, yeah.
Yeah, Aina Kinnamona was the only one, but I'm not even like shocked by it. I just want to know your reasoning behind it.
Like I'm kind of backed them over the last few years with the players that they do have, particularly Aidan McCarthy. Again, like Derek Hanavan for Ergal Kieran, a guy that needs to prove a point, especially to the Clare selectors, because like I don't think he'd be happy with the way he was dropped maybe out of the team. And he's a fantastic hurler, so he definitely has a point to prove for Aina Kinnamona. And as well as that, I know a lot of people have probably grilled me in terms of me liking this player and me praising this player, David Fitzgerald. I think he is an absolutely brilliant player, no matter where he does play. I do think he's an absolutely brilliant player around him, that middle third. And they do have scoring power in that team. And you look at Clare overall, Feakle, I think, got a bit of a hammering last weekend. They were champions over the last few years. Obviously, if Clooney Queen, which is a decent enough show, Ballyhay. But I'm just going to go Aina Kinnamona. I do think there is a championship in this team. They haven't won it for quite a while in Clare as well. So I think a shock might be there in the Clare championship this year.
Absolutely. So, Liam, coming to you next then in terms of your picks. You've gone for Ballyhale Shamrocks to win in Kilkenny, Nafina to win in Dublin, Ratmuir to win in Wexford, Kilcormac Colohy in Offaly, Clough-Ballacolla in Laois, Loughlin Gales in Westmeath, Mount Leinster Rangers in Carlow, and Naas in Kildare. In Munster, you've gone for Nina to win in Tipperary, Middleton in Cork, Éire Óg Ennis in Clare, Doon in Limerick, Ballygunner in Waterford, St Thomas's in Galway, and in Ulster, Setanta in Donegal, Slaughtneil in Derry, Portaferry in Down, and Borio Cushendall in Antrim. Lads, any questions for Liam on his picks?
Yeah, I think they're very, very similar.
I have one if you don't. I have one if you don't. My one is Nina in Tipperary. Over Lochmore Castellani, over Turles Stars.
Yeah, and in fairness, I'd kind of reached out to one or two people in Tipperary as well to see who they would think, and one or two of them have said Nina to me. Now, the only thing is, I know that at the moment, I know that Jake Morris has a bad injury at the moment, to be fair to him, so that is not ideal, but I just think Nina are a good team. Look, I'll be honest with you, Tipperary was one of the more difficult ones for me to predict because it's been extremely competitive over the last number of years. I was very close to saying Turles Sarsfields, to be honest with you, making that big comeback and everything like that. But look, you have the likes of Kildangan in Tipperary, who won the championship a couple of years ago. You've Lochmore Castellani, who've dominated the last 2 years. You have Turles Sarsfields. You have Nina. Even what's their name? I can't think of the names off the top of my head. But there's one other team, Holy Cross Ballycahill. Like even them, they're a big shout as well. But I am just going to go with Nina. They've looked, even without some of their key players, they've looked strong enough so far in the championship, and they came don't underestimate. They came very close to beating Lochmore Castellani last year in the Tipperary final, and it was played on a dirty, rotten, horrible day. And yet the two teams still put up an absolute classic of a match. And I just think the hurt from last year, I think they'd be absolutely desperate to win it this year, even without their top players. I think, some of their top players, I think they'll want to prove a point. And yeah, I'm going to back them to do it.
Absolutely. So if we don't have any more questions for Liam, lads, I'm going to move on.
I will just say to Aaron with the Balmere, I can understand what he's saying, to be fair. I can. Like, look, at the end of the day, we don't have Charlie Mitchell this year. Adam Screeney is out, injured at the moment. Like, I can understand. And Balmere looked very, very good against Shinrone. Burr will be a team that will, probably be fighting towards the end of the championship. St. Rhinus, maybe it could be too soon for Rhinus, possibly, but they've still won 3 out of 3, so they'll put up a fight. But I think I don't think I'll be allowed back into my club if I don't say us. So
Galwegian here saying Galway Hurling Championship is up for grabs at the moment. Loughrea and Mike Turlockmore both lost their opening games to Tommy Larkins and to Athenry. They're all up for grabs. That's why this is one of the most difficult championships to predict that you could ever predict. Mike here saying Clarenbridge on paper have an outrageous team, probably have the best squad in Galway. If they get out of Galway, they could be unbelievable in Croke Park. Unfortunately, Mike, I don't think they will. And we're going to come to my predictions now. Leinster, I've gone for Ballyhale Shamrocks to win in Kilkenny, Nafina to win in Dublin, St. Martin's to win in Wexford, Kilcormac Colohy in Offaly, Clough-Ballacolla in Laois, Loughlin Gales in Westmeath, Mount Leinster Rangers in Carlow and Naas in Kildare. Then in Munster, I've gone Turles Stars in Tipperary, Sarsfields in Cork, Éire Óg in Clare, Doon in Limerick, and Ballygunner in Waterford. St. Thomas's then in Galway to get back on top. Then in Ulster, I've gone for Setanta in Donegal, Slotneil in Derry, Portaferry in Down, and Rory O'Cushendall in Antrim. Lads, the floor is open. Any that surprise you about my picks there?
We're kind of going for a lot of the same ones, to be fair. I think the hurling's a lot easier in a way to predict than the football is. But I suppose just because
the titles changed hands a lot less, I feel like, in the hurling. You got like the likes of Ballygunner in Waterford, Nafina in Dublin.
Yeah. I suppose, well, actually, I may as well ask you about those two. Well, Nafina, first of all, maybe 3 in a row for them would be an absolutely unbelievable achievement. Can you see anyone stopping them this year? They came close in the final last year. And I suppose the other one, only because maybe might come as a surprise to some people, we're all sort of going with Loughlin Gales in Westmeath.
Well, just as well, like to talk about Nafina, they're not actually going for 3, they're going for 4.
Oh, they're going for 4. Sorry, you're right. Sorry.
They had the first year where they got to the Leinster final and lost to O'Loughlin Gales. Then they went on and won the All-Ireland. To be honest, you see, I think that if there was a year that Nafina would be caught, it would make sense that it would be this year, because Liam Rush was speaking on TG Cahir after they lost to St. Martin's, and he was saying that basically they were tired. Like they'd gone a long, long way in the All-Ireland to win it, and then coming straight back into the Dublin Championship and having lumps taken out of them by everyone. And then Lucan Sarsfields gave them a hell of a run in the final. Lucan should have won that day. I was there. I think Lucan were very unlucky on the day. Nafina got, whether you agree with the decision or not, Nafina did get a lucky penalty. I've seen them given, I've seen them not given, but Nafina got the penalty, and that definitely had a big say in the game. So there is the question there of whether they were ready to go again or not. And the reality is they've started this campaign really, really strong. 2 very, very impressive wins, including one over my own club, Whitehall. They look really, really good, hit 4 goals in that game. I think maybe the break in terms of not doing an All-Ireland run will shape them up nicely to have another crack at Dublin. And I think they are the obvious team to beat in the Dublin Championship. So, yeah, I think in terms of what they've done, in terms of the fact that they've won an All-Ireland very recently, in terms of the fact that they have a lion's share of the squad in the Dublin team, I think the Fianna should be the favourites. But there are absolutely unbelievable teams underneath them, like Lucan, like Kilmacud, like Coola, who could give them a serious run for the money.
Absolutely.
Okay, lads, time to go even one step further. So we've all given our Galway predictions. We all think that either St. Thomas's are going to win. Aaron, did you go Thomas's as well?
No, I've actually gone for Clarenbridge in Galway. I'm not too sure. I don't think I gave you my my pick earlier. But yeah, no, I'm back in Clarenbridge to win Galway. I think with Aaron Ireland in there, Gavin Lee as well. I'd agree with that comment from Mike as well. I think like they got to the final a couple of years ago and they were quite close. And yeah, like looking at Loughrea, who haven't looked great so far, I think there is an opportunity potentially there. So I'm going to go for Clarenbridge.
There is a sense that Thomas's time in Galway is over, from the comments there from Mike and from Galwegian Legion. But yeah, time to move on and give our provincial pick. So Clarenbridge is what Aaron's gone for to come out of Connacht. We've all gone for St. Thomas's then to come out of the West. Matthew, you'll be abstaining from Munster, but could we get your Ulster and Leinster predictions?
Yeah, so Ulster, I'd go for Rory O'Cushendall, and Leinster, I'm going to go Ballyhale Shamrocks.
Okay, very good. Ballyhale. Surely not. Surely we couldn't have more.
Sorry, I think genuinely Henry Shefflin's not their manager this year because he's gone to Kilkenny inter-county team, I believe. So
yeah.
Okay.
I think, and I've said this on this podcast, I don't think Henry Shefflin's a good manager. And I think Ballyhale will actually do better without him.
Wow.
Didn't he win an All-Ireland with them before?
He did, but I think he's kind of regressed as a manager. Like again, with Galway, he didn't do much. With Kilkenny under-20s, not much. And last year with Ballyhale, I think he tactically set them up wrong against St. Martin's in the final.
The one thing I will say is like we will find out just how good a manager he is because he's taken on Kilkenny at a time where I wouldn't want to take them on. Like their talent isn't at the same level that it was 10 years ago. And I think that is where we'll see just how good a manager he is. Now, it could be a case that maybe he gets in the likes of Billy Drennan, or he gets through a golden crop of players and he's able to turn it around. But it's a tough task to take on. It's not the job that Derek Ling took on a couple of years ago. Like, it's tougher. But yeah, as far as then, lads, for the rest of you don't get to abstain from nothing. So, and that includes me as well. So, Aaron, I'm going to come to you first. All Ireland Club Hurling Predictions 26-27. Give me your provincial winners, and then who you think is going to win the All Ireland itself.
Yeah, so Munster, I've gone for Ballygunner. For Leinster, I've gone for Kilmacud Crokes. And for Ulster, I've gone for Portaferry. And then All Ireland winners, I've gone for Ballygunner.
Perfect. And you've gone as well for Clarenbridge to come out of Connacht.
Yeah, Clarenbridge to come out of the imaginary Connacht Hurling Championship.
Liam, I'll come to you next. Could I get you to remind us who you picked to win the Galway Championship, and then Connacht by virtue? Leinster, Ulster and Munster.
Yeah, so St. Thomas's to come out of Galway, and as Aaron said, the imaginary Connacht Championship. For Ulster, I am going to go with Schlockneil to win the title. In Munster, I'm going with Doon to win the Munster title. And in Leinster, unfortunately, I think Na Fianna will actually beat my club in the Leinster final. And I'm actually going to back Na Fianna to win their second All-Ireland.
Okay. My turn, folks. So I've gone with St. Thomas's to come out of Galway and then Connacht. I have gone with Na Fianna to come out of Leinster. I've gone with Doon, I agree with Liam, to come out of Munster. And I've gone with Portaferry to cause an upset up north and come out of the Ulster Championship. That is what I've gone with. And then for the All-Ireland itself, this is where it gets really, really tricky. For the All-Ireland, I'm going with Doon to win the All-Ireland. I think if they get out of Munster, they'll be a serious force. Adam English, Darragh O'Donovan, it'd be quite tough to stop. All right. So, lads, any predictions at all that have surprised you in terms of All-Ireland? Lads, are you surprised by how much myself and Liam have backed Doon? Matthew, obviously, you don't have to speak if you're abstaining from a Cork side.
Yeah, I'm surprised you aren't looking at like what's the reason for not picking Ballygunner, considering how good they looked last year, obviously the season before that as well. I know they were stopped by SARS and they were beaten by St. Thomas, I think, 1 year after extra time. But they've won 2 All-Irelands in the last 4 or 5 years. So what's the reasoning for thinking they will get better?
Doon nearly caught them after a week on the beer.
Yeah.
Last year. Darragh O'Donovan basically said as much that they would be on the beer.
The Piercing almost
had 6 days. They
Well.
had 6 days to get ready for that Ballygunner game last year. 6 days. And I think if they get a better crack at this time, provided they get out of the Limerick Championship, this is what we're talking about. The Piercy could win Limerick, something. It's so possible.
Yeah. The game between Ballygunner and the Laois champions is in Waterford. That is the semi-final. And I think if they're going to be caught, they're going to be caught there. And I think they are going to be caught by a Limerick team. I think if Na Piarsaigh or maybe not Kilmallock, I don't know if they'd be able to take them down, but I think Na Piarsaigh or Doon are capable of taking down Ballygunner. And if Ballygunner realistically are not going to win an All-Ireland, for me, probably realistically, they have to be stopped in Munster. For me, 100%. Yeah. And actually, to be fair, I don't even hate the Doon shout for the All-Ireland. Like you were saying, Séamus, Darragh O'Donovan's, Pat Ryan's, Adam English, Barry Murphy's, these types of players are top class. They've won All-Irelands with Limerick. I'd say now after winning, and I'd say after losing the Limerick title the way they did last year, I think they'd be absolutely gunning to go and win it this year. Now, I know Kilmallock have looked good so far, and to be fair, I can understand where Aaron was coming from with his Kilmallock shouts. I've even had some people saying to me Kilmallock in my prediction video on TikTok as well. But Doon are an excellent side, to be fair. So, yeah, I think they could have a good crack. And the reason, I suppose, with Na Fianna, look, I've looked at the Leinster draw, and it so happens that if results go the way you probably expect, it will be Ballyhale Shamrocks versus Na Fianna in Nolan Park. Ballyhale Shamrocks last year, probably, I would say it was more they did well in the second half against us, but we also performed very badly in the second half against them last year. Clock Balacalla nearly caught them in a semi-final last year, and St. Martin's bet them in the final. This is not the Ballyhale of the late 2010s or even the mid 2010s or the early 2020s. It's a much more beatable Ballyhale team. I think Na Fianna are very, very strong. I also think the draw probably, in a way, without trying to jinx anything, probably if we were to get out of Offaly, we often do well enough in Leinster. I think it favours us, the Leinster draw, to be honest with you. But look, I've seen, unfortunately, and I don't want to be saying it again, but Na Fianna, they did beat us 2 years ago. I think they might just have the edge on us again this time, and especially if we don't have the likes of Charlie Mitchell. I don't know what Adam Screeney's situation is at the moment, but yeah, Na Fianna have also been here before, and they've won in All-Ireland. They have some top-class players. St. Thomas's, to be fair, I do agree with Matthew. It was a failure last year. I can understand 2024. They just won the All-Ireland. They'd won, 6 in a row or 7 in a row in Galway. You can understand the drop-off the year after, but last year, I think they failed in not winning the Galway Championship, and I think they'll be sick to their teeth of seeing Loughrea, because I think they are a better team than Loughrea, being honest about it. I do think they're a much better team than Loughrea. It's just they haven't won it the last 2 years, so obviously now people are going to be like, Loughrea are the best team in Galway. For me, they're not. St. Thomas's are, as much as that hurts me to say, to be honest. But yeah, Thomas's, I think, could give it a good rattle, but yeah, for me, Na Fianna, yeah. I don't want to picture it now. I don't want to picture them beating us in another final, but I think it will happen.
Okay. Yeah. Is that where we leave it, folks? We predicted who we think is going to win the All-Ireland, the provincials, and every single county for men's football and men's hurling. Next week, we'll be tackling the LGFA and Camogie, so keep an eye out for that as well, and we'll also be previewing what club action we're looking forward to on that weekend. But yeah, Billy Murphy has a question for you, Matthew, if you can answer.
Right. Who will win the Cork Premier Intermediate Football Championship? I think it is, yeah. And who will get relegated? Who will get relegated? Probably Macroom in the last 3 relegation playoffs. I think Billy's a Macroom man, if I'm not mistaken. So sorry, Billy. And who will win it? I think Eve Lera will win it, and I think they might be a team to watch at the All-Ireland Intermediate Championship. They have Chris O'Jones in their team, so might be a team to watch.
Absolutely. So if you've Chris, you've got one of the best forwards in the game right now. I mean, he's had off the back of an unbelievable inter-county season. But yeah, we have bravely predicted how we think the club championship is going to go for the hurling and the football in 2026/27. Tune in next week for our predictions and preview for the LGFA and Camogie Club Championships as well. Big shout out to ATAK Sports, who are our championship coverage partners for 2026. Check them out across their socials and their website as well. We'll be back on Sunday at 8 p.m. with the weekend review show where Stop the Bus will make its return once again. Looking forward to it, lads. But yeah, until then, enjoy the weekend. Follow your instinct, baby. Follow your instinct.